So November home prices. So we just did year-end numbers. November home prices rose 9.5%, which is one of the highest gains on record. And I'm trying to think here, like, what would this headline have been if this were, because we're 2 months behind. So if we were in November right now and we were running through September numbers, what would this headline have been? Just curious. I'm just curious. I'm not saying anything. I'm just curious, but
you're saying a little something, which is surprising. You're kind of saying a little something.
No, I'm just curious.
Okay.
Because by the way, and never mind. Okay, the surge in home prices is not slowing down thanks to high buyer demand and a record low supply of homes for sale. So currently in my market, we are at a 20-day supply. We have 20 days worth of homes right now. Like, I did the exact math. We have 20. If we don't get one more listing right now, which I have to put one in the MLS later, so we're at 21 days supply with my new listing coming on the market. That's insane to me. I guess that's why there's 3 million extra buyers laying around. But prices nationally rose 9.5% in November compared with November of 2019. That is the strongest annual growth rate in over 6 years and a significantly stronger gain than in October, when prices were up 8.4%. That is a quote from Craig Lazara, who is the managing director at S&P Dow Jones Indices. Recent data are consistent. That's the proper way to say that, by the way. Recent data are consistent with the view that the Rona has encouraged potential buyers to move from urban apartments to suburban homes. He goes on to say that this may represent a true secular shift in housing demand, or may simply represent an acceleration of moves that would have taken place over the next several years anyway. Future data will be required to address that question. So I want to come back to that little point that he made right there. May simply represent an acceleration of moves that may have happened in the future. So, but as we've discussed on the show, builders have been ramping up production recently, which could throw a bit of cold water on these very hot prices. Now, this is a quote from Danielle Hale, who is the chief economist over at Realtor.com. Our 2021 outlook expects an eventual moderation to price gains, which we all should, right? As home construction ramps up and the widespread availability of the Rona vaccines bring more flexible sellers back to the housing market. But it will be some time before these changes bring relief. So, Ray, let's go back to that. Is it just all these buyers were going to buy in the next 2 or 3 years, but they were like, well, I can do it now, so let's do it now? Or is it truly, let's get away from all this urban how do you say condensation, where we're all condensed together?
Urban condensation.
Urban condensation.
Probably not the way to say that.
There's a lot of people condensed into one area. How would you say that?
Yeah. Okay. I guess you could say that, urban condensation. That's a
new thing I made up. But anyway, let's get away from this urban condensation and buy now because of the Rona, or is it because the frenzy happened and low interest rates?
So yes, I think it's a culmination of a whole bunch of things. I know, we've been doing this show now for 3 years, right? So 2 years ago, we were talking about the number of millennials moving back home with mom and dad,
right?
Living on their property or at their property, in their basements, that kind of thing. And I wouldn't be so shocked if it was a culmination of a lot of those millennials saying, okay, I kind of want to do my own thing. It's time for me to go ahead and move out.
I've saved for 2 years now. I'm good.
Right. Exactly. Rates are the lowest they've ever been in history. And so now I'm ready to finally spread my wings and fly. And it would not surprise me one bit if most of our home buyers, because I think last year was only 30%, but I would see like 30-40% being millennials. Right. It would also not surprise me, because we have an aging baby boom population, that some of them made the move because of the
silver wave.
The silver wave that we talked about a couple of years ago.
That's part of my prediction.
Right. And so they could have also made the move, increasing the number of buyers in the marketplace. But I think a lot of it might have been the lack of supply due to people that were going to list that aren't listing now. And I'm curious if we're all underestimating the number of people who will be listing their home and the amount of inventory that will be coming on the market from the people that just decided not to sell last year because of everything that was going on politically, because of
Right.
everything that was going on with the, like Pete Thorpe said, in the riots in the suburbs, right? Everything that was going on with the pandemic. I'm not going to list this year. Let's just wait 1 year. And will that alone ease the tension in the inventory? And will that match the number of buyers that are looking for a home? Halfway through the year last year, we were 1.2 million units behind, and we ended the year, and Lauren June thinks that we're 3
It's a
million.
3 million behind.
Right.
So
I'm
that's going to
curious
take
know.
a lot of listings. Lindsay's going to have to work extra hard to ease that flood.
Right. And we just, so we are broadcasting live on Clubhouse at the same time that we're broadcasting on YouTube and Facebook. We actually had Jason Pantana, which is my coach and real estate extraordinaire, join the conversation on Clubhouse. And I'd love to hear his opinion too, because Tom Ferry came out and I think Tom said like no easing of the inventory this year. And I would say yes, but if the foreclosure moratorium, which actually was not released, they actually just extended that.
Right.
But if that lifts, and if the builders begin to build more homes, and if people actually list their home that were thinking about listing this year, is it going to put enough? Is it going to ease enough pressure on the inventory to make a difference for home prices to come down, for more affordability to be there, or is it still going to go up, and away? So, Jason, if you will unmute yourself, and I would love to hear your thoughts on what's happening in the economy here.
Hey Ray, how's it going, man? I would say. So here's the thing. Like I could give you a prediction in terms of what I think. I think your prediction is probably a lot more intelligent than mine would be. My vantage point is, what do I know now? Well, I know now that the market's very competitive. I just got off a coaching session and they're dealing with 2 weeks of inventory. So there could be changes. There could be some incentivizing for builders that could ease up lower price points or more moderate price points for new construction. Certainly that could happen. I think what you said is pretty interesting, that there's probably a shadow, whatever term you want to give to it, of people who would have sold, but there were reasons in 2020 where it was like, you know what, let's just wait it out and see what 2021 looks like. So, in fact, I have a coaching client that we're looking at his market in DC, and I'm using this as kind of anecdotal evidence. But in DC, all of a sudden, we started seeing a whole lot of activity on his listings that had been just crickets for a long period of time. And so I guess here's what I would conclude. Yes, there could be policy changes that affect housing one way or another. There could be shifts in new construction. There could be shifts with builder. There could be shifts with buyer morale, with listing. All that stuff could change. But what I know now is the markets are really competitive. And so the strategic opportunity for agents, in my opinion, is, you know what, brand like you've never branded before. Position yourself like you've never done it before. Work absentee owners. Start circle prospecting as long as you're compliant with DNC and TCPA Act laws. Get serious about content. Become the knowledge broker. Post more videos and be all out the person in your marketplace who's bringing the info with whatever it is at that time into your local community, so that people are looking to you as, oh, he's the person, she's the person who knows the most about the market in this particular area. So I guess short answer, Ray, is I could see it going a lot of different directions. Based upon what I see right now, there would have to be some pretty big changes to abrupt the increase in price points and lessening inventory. Is that too? So that's my it depends answer. How's that? Cool.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I would totally agree with you. From the real estate agent perspective, there's no better time than now to focus on the branding and marketing and get yourself positioned well. The Walmart effect happened and impacted tons of small businesses long before it ever hit real estate, and still never really has hit real estate, maybe until recently. We've seen some moves from Zillow recently. We've seen some moves from these big box places that, there may be in the future Walmart versions of real estate. And the small business has always had the opportunity in those instances to pivot and become specialists and provide better service, better products, a more custom experience, a more custom user experience or end user experience or customer experience that's unforgettable. And that's been the differentiator. So some people will never go to Walmart anymore because they don't get that kind of experience, and other people will go there all the time, right? So it just kind of depends on the value proposition that person is offering. So as far as the real estate agent's perspective, I think you're exactly right. As far as the consumer's perspective, if you're going to sell, get it on the market. Because if you wait a couple of months, the price accelerations may not be there. The low rates may not be there. People that could afford your home 6 months, today, right? 6 months from now may not be able to afford your home that could afford it then. So I would say there's kind of two different perspectives as we're consulting and helping our consumers through navigating the market, I guess you could say. I think the advice would be just what you said, we know what is happening now. And that's the same advice we would give the consumer. This is what the situation is now, so make a move now. Jason, you got something to add?
Yeah, I would add something sort of tangential, but it's a little bit on the same topic. I was having another coaching session this morning with a broker out in LA who deals in the Uber luxury space. And we were talking about just people's increased interest in second, third home markets. And he was like, when I was young, he made this comment. He's like, when I was young, everybody was trying to get away from downtowns. And then over the last 25 years, everybody's trying to get back into downtown areas. And now we're seeing people maybe move back out, but he's like, I don't know that it's permanent. I don't think it's permanent. There are still cities where you're seeing an influx of people. So it's not really the metropolitan versus suburban thing so much, but we just kind of said everything got shaken up. People are just moving right now. People are making decisions right now that are going to try to basically maybe fit them in the short term. And so this is, again, tangential, but I think in terms of marketing as an agent, and I'm coming from the agent perspective right now, I would also be very loud and clear about your network of agents around the country, around the globe, in terms of helping to place people in different markets. If they're relocating into or out of a market, if they're getting a second or a third home, I think it's really a good time to kind of visit, and that means interview videos with like Ray Allen interviews a broker from someplace else, just to kind of create the persona, the context that, hey, you can work through Ray to be anywhere, and also helping to inform people about what their options are. I don't know if that really adds to the conversation necessarily, but again, it's just about now's the time to be really, really, I think, vocal about what are the options, what's working, what have we seen working, and helping people get local information. Because to your point about the whole Walmart kind of real estate experience, it's going to be nuanced in every specific market. And so I think that this is the time to do more knowledge broker type of videos, more market update videos, sharing your experiences. Even when you do like a just sold post, really take time to kind of tell the story. What can you tell without violating confidentiality that helps other people who are following along understand how the market's moving? I don't know if that's wishy-washy, Ray, but that's what I was going to add. Anyways.
Yeah, I would agree. Customer and client testimonials, I think it would be hugely useful. Your network of agents around the country, hugely useful, because that's going to be one of the big selling points of using the big box chains, right? Is, well, they can sell it here and they can buy it here, and it's all seamless. Well, if you can make the seamless transaction happen for them through your connections, whether it's on Clubhouse or whether you made the connections through the Be More Contributors group, or maybe like a Tom Ferry coaching, a little small thing like that. Well, however you're making those connections, I think those connections are invaluable to moving you forward as an agent, as an expert in the industry.